Hello. I don't know if I ever had an official YouTube channel greeting. If you saw any of my old YouTube channel videos, no you didn't. If you've seen me on TikTok, I guess you did. Sorry. Every year Spotify comes out with your Spotify Wrapped, which is the top 100 songs that you've listened to throughout the year. They also usually tell you your top album, your top genres, and your top artists. The tracking for Spotify Wrapped actually ends at the end of October because they need time to make the Spotify Wrapped for millions of people, you know? This year I had a goal that I wanted my Spotify Wrapped to show that I had listened to at least 100,000 minutes of music. Am I gonna reach 100,000 minutes? I'm not sure. Do I care? Yes. Yes, I do. Anyways, the moral of the story is I have listened to a ton of music this year, and I've been needing some sort of hobby, and I figured, why not try and get back into my YouTube channel? Is anyone gonna watch this? I don't know. Does anyone care? I don't really care. I'm gonna make the video anyways because I want to get my thoughts out into the world. So today I'm gonna be sharing with you some of my favorite albums, playlists, and individual songs that I listened to this year. I do want to make a disclaimer that not all of these songs came out in 2024, so they're not all new songs, and they're not even necessarily new to me songs. They're just songs that I listened to this year. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start off with albums. This one did actually come out this year. My first album of the year is the Posthuman Next Gen by Bring Me the Horizon. As a whole, I think this album is pretty good. I think some songs are better than others. Some of my favorite songs on the album include NA, which I assume stands for Narcotics Anonymous, which tells the story of a guy going to an NA meeting. Like, hi, I'm an addict, this is my story. Another song that I really like is Lost, the story of, oh my goodness, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Like, I'm on all these medications and they're just not working and I feel just lost. And one of the other songs that I really like off of this album is Top 10 Statues That Cried Blood. I'm not entirely sure what's up with the capitalization on this album. I have not looked into it because I do not care that much. But this song is a little bit more along the lines of Lost, someone who is clearly going through things. They are going through things. They've hit rock bottom. The whole album really is just about, I have hit rock bottom and where do I go from here? And I think that's, fitting considering the genre that Bring Me the Horizon fits into generally. But it's been a hard year, you know? And it's just so nice to have someone else singing. Two specific lyrics that I want to point out in this album. One of the songs has the lyric, "Keep holding my breath for America," and I love that. If you don't know, Bring Me the Horizon is, I believe, an English band. And so to hear someone say, "Keep holding my breath for America," again, it's been a tough year. And to have an outsider's perspective of wow, y'all are really going through it. Yes, we are. Thank you so much for noticing. The other line that I want to mention, I think, is comedy gold. It's not a good lyric. They really included that in the album. It's the line, "Get me low like a basement." What does that mean? I have every reason to believe that that album is going to be my #1 album for the year. Another album that I really liked this year, which who didn't, was The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess by Chappell Roan. I don't want to say I was one of the first people to know about Chappell Roan, because that's probably not true. The only reason I knew about Chappell Roan early was because my roommate Cynthia listened to Femininomenon so many times, and I was like, I cannot say that. Femininomenon? It could not come out for several months. But it was at the release of Femininomenon that I was introduced to Chappell Roan, and I was just waiting and waiting and waiting for the album to come out. And it's a pretty good album. There's just banger after banger after banger. Some songs that I want to mention from that album, Pink Pony Club, the idea of I'm moving away from the home that I have known, and I think I'm going to be a disappointment to my family, and at the same time, I'm just going to keep on living. Another song on that album that I really like that I think is kind of underrated is Coffee. Coffee tells the story of two lovers who are very obviously in love with each other, but it's just never gonna work out between them. Chappell talks about how we can't go get a cup of coffee because it's never just coffee. Obviously, our feelings are gonna come out at some point. We can't go to this place or this place or this place because I have so many memories associated with you at these locations that it's never gonna work. It is a really sad song, and at the same time, I think it does a really good job at showing Chappell mourning a relationship. Another song which I really like off of this album, along with the rest of the masses, is Hot to Go. I think Hot to Go really was one of the songs of the summer. It was just so catchy and bouncy, and it makes you want to do the Hot to Go dance. Watching the videos from different chapel shows, like where she first started performing this song to now, and watching the crowd go from not knowing the dance to not understanding it to being just absolutely wild for it, we love to see it. We love to see a lesbian pop star gaining such mainstream audience. I do feel kind of bad for Chapel because she was flung into stardom with this album, and that's got to be so hard for your mental health. Hearing the stories of like, people are stalking me, people are stalking my family, like everyone thinks that they can just like they just know me, but I'm just a random person. Like, I do feel bad for her. I don't think she was prepared for that. I don't think anyone can really prepare for being flung into stardom. At the same time, it's still just so meaningful to me that Chapel has such a large following now. Like, that is really a lesbian pop star. The next album that I really liked this year was Preacher's Daughter by Ethel Cain. This whole album is full of just the longest, most beautiful songs that you could ever imagine. It's someone deconstructing their religious trauma while at the same time just singing these heart-wrenching songs. I think my favorite song from the album is American Teenager. The song tells the story of a teen in America looking around and kind of thinking like, oh my goodness, is this really where we're at? Like, people are dying for what I have been told is the American dream, but is this really the American dream? Is this all that there is? Overall, it's a pretty catchy song, and at the same time, if you listen to the lyrics, it's just soaked in sadness. Another song that I really like off of this album is A House in Nebraska. A House in Nebraska is, first off, a song which has an amazing piano part. Love to hear it. As for the song itself, the lyrics are heart-wrenching. Ethel Cain is very good at that. The lyrics tell the story of someone who has broken up or gone through some sort of separation with a lover. And they're talking about how this relationship meant so much to them, and they still find peace and solace in this house where they had this romantic encounter. She's talking about how their lover's mom still contacts her and it hurts her and at the same time is so comforting. This song does a really good job at telling the story of loneliness after a breakup. The loneliness of, I don't know if I'll ever find anyone like you, but I can't even feel bitter towards you. I hope that you're okay. And the last song that I want to mention off of this album as one of the standouts is Thoroughfare. The song Thoroughfare tells the story of two lovers going on essentially a long road trip. These two people meet and one of them asks, do you want to go see the West with me? Like, do you want to just come and drive and see what we can find? Like, discover America. This song has beautiful, absolutely beautiful harmonies. This song is another example of Ethel really examining a relationship that was so important to her. Is telling the story of this is how we met and we decided to go out west to find love, and like on our way we kind of found it. And I do also have an honorable mention, mostly because I think more people should listen to this artist. The album Let's Dance Until We Get Scared by Mickey Darling came out this year. The two songs that really come to mind when I think of Mickey Darling are Vroom Vroom and Reverse Cowgirl, neither of which are on this album. I think a lot of the album sounds very similar to each other, like the songs all are in the same style. However, I do think it's a good album. It's worth at least a listen. I want to take some time now and talk about playlists. This year, I have made a lot of playlists, and 3 of the top playlists that I've made were based on one specific song. One of the first playlists that I made this year is based off of the song I Haunt Your Dreams by the band Hey Nothing. This playlist as a whole was a comfort to me as I was going through some really depressing times. I wanted the playlist to tell a story of someone who is living their life, but they feel like a shell of a person. They feel like a ghost in their own life. They're going through the motions, they're still doing everything that they need to do, and at the same time, there's just not that happiness, there's not that spark or that joy for life. Some other songs on this playlist, just to kind of give you an idea of the vibe that I was going for, were Nice House by Joywave, Still Haunt Me by Thomas McKinney. He is a very small artist, but he is worth listening to, and Mostly Dead by Joseph Dubé. Another playlist that I made this year, largely with the help of Facebook, believe it or not, it was called I Don't Sleep As Good As I Used To, based off the song by Gail. I've had nothing but sleep issues for many years, and I finally decided that I wanted to make a playlist just dedicated to having sleep issues. So I asked on Oddly Specific Playlists, a Facebook group, for songs about not being able to sleep, not being able to fall asleep, stay asleep, or while sleeping having nightmares. This playlist does also have the songs Still Haunt Me and Mostly Dead by Thomas McKinney and Joseph Dubay respectively, but some other songs on this playlist are I'll Sleep When I'm Dead by Set It Off, Insomnia by Ren, Brian Wilson by the Bare Naked Ladies, and Overkill, specifically the acoustic version. Overkill was originally a song by Men at Work, which is, I believe, an Australian band from like the 80s. The main singer of the band, Colin Hayes, released an acoustic version, which I prefer. It's beautiful, a beautiful song of, like, I'm laying awake at night just thinking about everything, that it's all gonna turn out okay. I know it's all gonna turn out okay, but I just cannot turn my brain off. Another song that I really want to mention off of this playlist is the song Insomnia by, I believe it's pronounced Oki Neri. This is another pretty small artist who I think is worth a listen. This is another one which is like someone laying in bed at night not being able to fall asleep, because how can I? Like, there's so much going on in my brain that I cannot fall asleep. And then one of the other playlists that I've been working a lot on throughout the year is Talking About a Revolution, based off the Tracy Chapman song with the same name. With everything going on this year, I found a lot of comfort in songs where people are talking about union building, community building, stopping wars, making sure everyone is paid fairly, and that's what I wanted this playlist to be. I was really glad this year when I listened to the song Talking About a Revolution for the first time, because I was like, oh my goodness, like, we have been fighting these same battles for so many years, and this is still where we're at. Some other songs that I have on this playlist are I Was Just a Stupid Dog to Them by Nina Simone. Wonderful song. I also have the song Shouting at the Wall by MC Abdul on this playlist. If I understand correctly, this is a artist who is like 12 or 13 from Gaza. This song is particularly heart-wrenching because it tells the story of living under an occupation by a narrator who's like 12 or 13 years old. You're getting a child's perspective on how this war is impacting them, how this war has caused them to grow up too fast, how they're living through a war, through an occupation. This year I also discovered the band Lavender Country. They're credited with being the first band to release a lesbian country album. And one of the songs of theirs that I really liked that I put on this playlist was Waltzin' Will Trilogy. Waltzin' Will Trilogy is about a gay man who goes to jail because he is gay. And gay men are so looked down upon, and he's being just ostracized for being gay. And at the same time, he's used as like a sexual release for the guards. Really, it's a story about how it can be unfair to be gay, because you can be so criticized and oppressed and marginalized, and at the same time people will come to you for their pleasure. Like, you're only good for someone else's pleasure. There are a lot of other songs that I listened to this year that if they're not on my Spotify Wrapped, like, they would be pretty close, and I want to just mention some of those to you. The song May 16 by Lagwagon, love that. It's off of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 soundtrack. Great soundtrack. I'm also not sure if I put it on my Talking About a Revolution playlist, but the song Prison Song by System of a Down, great song. Also the song Eat the Rich by Aerosmith, killer, absolutely killer song. I also listened to my fair share of country music this year, specifically pre-9/11 country music. Some standout songs to me were $2 in the Jukebox by Eddie Rabbitt, Fancy by Reba McEntire, and Goodbye Earl by The Chicks. I had the thought that I wanted to build a Halloween playlist at one point, and the song Man with the Hex by the Atomic Fireballs came up on my Discover Weekly, and I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want the playlist to be like. It's peak Scooby-Doo chase music. I have every reason to believe that Good Luck Babe by Chappell Roan is going to be my top song of the year, because I played it on repeat. There was one day I listened to it about 13 times in a row because I could not stop listening to it. Another song that really stood out to me was Don't Let the Good Life Pass You By Cass Elliot. I've never been like a listener of the Mamas and the Papas, and I did not know who Cass Elliot was before I found this song. I really enjoy it. The song is really just a reminder that you shouldn't get so caught up in life that you're trying to find success. That you just need to remember that you only get one life. You're looking for joy. You need to find joy in your life. Don't let that pass you by. Don't let success get in the way. Relate to your neighbors, eat good food, hold the people that you love close to you. I also want to take a minute and talk about some non-English songs that I listened to this year. I listened to the song Cha 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 by Kadia so many times. It's kind of embarrassing. Like, I understand very few words in the song, but I'll just be singing along like, cha, cha, cha. It's really just a party song. Like, it's a song about drinking alcohol and going out and having pina coladas, but it's pretty catchy. I also really like the song El Kufia Arabi by, I believe it's pronounced Shadia Mansour. This song is about kufiyas, the Palestinian scarf. I don't understand a lot of it, but I don't think you need to understand the song to be able to enjoy it. I also, like everyone else on TikTok, listen to a lot of Europapa by, I think it's pronounced Yost. Cha 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 and Europapa were both songs that were played on Eurovision. And so because I liked both of those songs, I was like, maybe there are more Eurovision songs that I'll like. So I decided to go through and start listening to some old Eurovision playlists. And in my searches, I found the song, it was from a few years ago, Dancing Lascia Tumbai by Verka. I cannot read my own handwriting. I think that says Serduchka? They're Ukrainian. If any of you have seen the musical Fiddler on the Roof, there's one specific dance move where they crouch really low and then they stick one leg out and they go towards it, and then they stick their other leg out the different direction and they go towards it. This song just makes me want to do that. It kind of makes me want to do the, oh, what's that song? Rasputin. It makes me want to do the Rasputin dance. I've also been on a Spanish learning journey, and I found that listening to music is a really good way to like hear how they actually use the language. So one song that I found was Intifada by the band Escape, which is a Spanish, I believe they're out of Madrid band. First off, that band name, incredible. It's a ska band, and it's Escape, like escape. This song is another song in support of Palestinians, as I understand it. Another song in Spanish that I really enjoyed this year was We Want Less by Bongo Botraco. This song is in both English and Spanish, and they're kind of repeating the same things in English and then in Spanish. So it does make it a lot easier for the Spanish language learner to understand what they're saying. And then there's one last kind of subset of songs that I want to talk about that all have kind of a shared theme. I discovered the song Jesus from Texas by Semler this year, which is the song of someone deconstructing their religious trauma and talking about how being gay and being in the church couldn't coexist. And that was such a hard thing for them because being gay was such a large part of their personality. And at the same time, they wanted to fight so badly for Christianity. They wanted to be welcomed in this space, and they weren't. Another song kind of along those lines is Jordan by Joy. I can't read my own hand. Is that a K or an R? I think it's Oladokan. This is another song about deconstructing religious trauma as a queer person. This is someone hearing that Christianity is a good thing. It does all of these good things for other people, and they aren't welcomed into it. Instead, they're being drowned. They're being drowned, and they're having to sacrifice a part of who they are in order to fit into Christianity. Another song along the same lines is Your Daughter by, I don't know if it's Dina or Dinah, Rebecca. This is a really sad song, and it's a little bit less heavy on the religious trauma, though it is mentioned. But this song is more about someone who is essentially just pleading with their parents that why is being their child not enough? And then this was actually my top song on Spotify last year, Word Vomit by the band Forever Unknown. This song tells a really specific story, which if this was not your experience growing up, you won't relate to the song at all. But it tells the story of someone going through and reflecting back on their past relationships and realizing that some of the people who they called friends throughout the year weren't actually their friends. They really hated each other, but they each hated each other more. Like they hated themselves more than they hated each other, so they got along okay. The song also reflects upon the idea of not being taken care of as a child, not having your parents take care of you in the way that they should have, and understanding that that's not necessarily because they were trying to do that, but because they simply couldn't, period. They couldn't. They did not have the skills or everything, the coping skills or everything that they needed to face their own trauma, and they instead passed that along. This song also has a reference to Lightning McQueen, which is definitely a choice that the band made. Lightning McQueen, of all people. And then the last song that I want to talk about is the song The Mom Song by Audelay? I don't know. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of vowels in that one. This song is another song about someone grappling with a failed relationship with a parent. The idea that their parent is overly critical of everything that they're doing or going through to the point where they're not even seeing them as a person anymore. They're just seeing all of their failures or what they think that they should be. It's the idea of growing up and being an adult now and still just desperately wanting your parents to care about you. And you try and have that relationship, and sometimes it won't work out. A lot of these songs have shared ideas that are very hard to grapple with, and I don't think a lot of people will understand. But if you do understand, you get it. Like, you understand, and it hurts so bad. And at the same time, it's so validating to hear someone else say it, so you can think, I'm not alone here. Other people are going through this too. It's been several years since I had to edit a video, and I am not even sure if I know how to connect my camera to my laptop to like upload this into iMovie. We shall see.